Hi, I'm Stephen J. Garvey, founder, leader of National Citizens Alliance. Thank you for joining me tonight. We have a pretty provocative presentation tonight. This is all about the facts and getting you informed. National Citizens Alliance of Canada is all about the unity of all Canadians who identify with Canadian nationalism, sovereignty, identity. We want to unite all Canadians. We stand opposed to these globalist sellouts, primarily in Ottawa, and we will call them all out. Doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter what their name is. We will call them out. And there's a lot of fake populists in Canada today. And tonight we're going to expose some of this. We're going to look at the political theater and duplicity of what's going on in Canada. We're going to focus on these globalist conservatives tonight. It could be globalist liberals and other multi-controlled opposition, but we're going to focus on these globalist conservatives and just help inform you so you can make better decisions. The first thing we want to make clear is that we reject at NCA the false left-right, liberal, conservative, divisive control mechanisms. The left-right, liberal, conservative is simply a way to divide Canadians and thereby control them. It's basic divide and conquer. That's all it is. We had a good meme up today. I'll put it up right here so people can see it. So it says divide and conquer, the false left-right, liberal, conservative dichotomies. Same, globalist outcome. And that's exactly what's been going on in Canada, at least since the 1970s. All these shills, globalist shills in Ottawa, all their sound bites, photo ops are pretending something else. And once they're in, they push this globalist agenda. Down here, Canadian unity, NCA, Canadian nationalism, and anti-globalist UN. So you have a clear choice in 2019. And I should clarify that the term globalist conservative, that is a contradiction in terms. If you're conservative, you should be. I'm just looking at the screen. I hope it's going right. I don't have the comments in front of me, but globalist conservative is a contradiction in terms. If you're conservative, you shouldn't be globalist. But the reality of Canadian, at least federal politics, is that these conservatives in Ottawa, they've been globalists since Brian Mulroney got in. He was one of the ultimate globalists, adopting UN Agenda 21, pushing multiculturalism, extreme multiculturalism, affirmative action. He also brought sustained mass immigration. He also brought globalist trade, supreme globalist trade. This guy was globalist to the core, and he was strained to the Power Corporation of Canada, who helped him in his pursuit of being PM. Those are facts. No one can deny that. He also added a hell of a lot of debt to this country, which is disgraceful. But these globalist conservatives, just so you understand the history of them, they've adopted and supported UN Agenda 21. They also adopted and support Agenda 2030, and that was Harper in 2015. They also support mass immigration of at least 250,000 plus a year. They support globalist trade like TPP and any other trade. Globalist trade, so that's working for the globalist middleman, not for the Canadian people, and eroding our sovereignty. They support extreme multiculturalism as indicated by their mass immigration agenda. They support the Bank of Canada corruption and the fiat currency and the money supply corruption. They support affirmative action of allowing newcomers and refugees to have job preference over qualified Canadians. That is a fact. They support provincial special treatment, in particular to Quebec. There's no doubt about that. Even this globalist Scheer was talking about allowing Quebec to decide its immigration policy, while the rest of Canada has to be dictated by Ottawa. That's just one example. They support top-down governance. We all remember Harper and his secret dictatorial governance. That's who they are. They're globalists, conservatives, neocons. So let's get into the facts tonight. I've got bullet points here. And this is connected to Faith Goldy, but it's not exclusive on Faith Goldy. I'm sorry about that, Faith Goldy. This isn't all about you tonight. That may be surprising, but anyways. So the question here that we're going to seek to answer is Faith Goldy a globalist conservative operative? So what we're going to do is look at the facts. And I have to clarify that we will stand opposed to anyone who is against Canadian nationalism, Canadian sovereignty, Canadian identity. NCA has a responsibility to all Canadian nationalists in our country, all Canadian patriots, to call these people out who are harming Canadian nationalism movement in Canada. So that's the purpose of tonight. I have to make that very clear. So let's get back to the facts here. I'm going to go through them and you make your own decision. On April 19, 2019, Goldy was banned by Facebook and then went on to say, quote, "Go run, sign up for your EDAs, go make sure your guys win within your various ridings." She doesn't mention a particular party. Which one? Why the deception? Why the lack of transparency? We think it's the globalist conservative party, but you make up your own mind. On February 19, 2019, globalist Scheer and Goldy spoke at the truck convoy in Ottawa. And what a disaster that truck convoy was. Just a waste of time, and people were stealing money. Can you believe it? And then Goldy actually endorsed Scheer at the Conservative Leadership Convention. That is a fact. And let's look at some more facts. Scheer appeared on Goldy's YouTube channel when running for the leadership and then promised to go duck hunting with her. So he has a cozy relationship with Goldy here. Scheer's campaign manager, Hamish Marshall, used to be on the Rebel News board of directors. An apparent expert on, quote, highly technical art of collecting and exploiting data on supporters and voters. Wow, it sounds really friendly. It sounds like something a lot of Canadians would support, eh? Collecting and exploiting data on supporters and voters. That's globalist Scheer's campaign manager. And establish a further connection between the globalist conservatives and Rebel News. Recently, the Liberals demanded that Scheer denounce Goldy, and we believe that this denouncement just feeds the fake populist narrative. There's a lot of these mainstream parties are pushing this populist agenda, trying to pretend to be populist, and we believe this is just feeding into it. If we dig a little deeper, I'm going to play this video here. I don't think a lot of Canadians know about this, but here's a video of Goldy. This was in January 11th, 2019, and she was pushing for a merger of the so-called conservative parties, Globalist Bernier and Globalist Scheer. They should merge before the federal election. Can you believe it? Remember, we are asking the question whether Goldy is a conservative operative. I'm going to play an excerpt from that video. You make up your own mind.
is about fragile personalities and tempering the rumor mill, so any path to merger status would have to be executed flawlessly, so to ensure both sides are content enough to cease the infighting and everyone can just direct their gaze to the real enemy: Justin Trudeau, Gerald Butts, and their globalist yes men, and of course women.
What's interesting to note from Goldy is she's playing the left-right divisive game. The video's called "Unite the Right," so she's caught up in the left-right divisive control game, which is textbook for these mainstream parties and establishment. It allows them to keep the status quo. What's interesting about the video too is she's labeling. She's claiming that the Liberals have globalist handlers, yet she says nothing about the Conservatives and their globalist handlers. So she's just smudging that all over. And I'll tell you, it is a proven fact. Since the 1970s, the Power Corporation of Canada, a globalist corporation, the Desmarais family, has had strings on every single MP since the 1970s. Yet she's trying to imply it's only the Liberal with globalist handlers. She's manipulating. That's what she's doing. And why is she pushing a merger of these globalists? Why isn't she talking about NCA and other true nationalist parties? Nothing. Not a peep to this day. Is she a conservative operative? We're going to look deeper now. This is, and I just pointed that out, Goldy has completely ignored National Citizens Alliance despite outreach by some of our members. If she was a true nationalist, Canadian nationalist, she would want to reach out to us. And we're a fully registered party. We're running in 2019. And she's completely ignored us, and she's completely working with Scheer, globalist Scheer. What more could be clear? And then we look further. Rebel News as well, run by Levant, has completely ignored National Citizens Alliance, despite us reaching out to it over 5 times, and the fact that Rebel News was at one of the NCA Big Yellow Vest rallies in Edmonton on December 5th, and yet they didn't cover it. Not a single coverage. And the journalist, I was up on the stage, and the journalist walked by me. Oh, he says, "Hi, I'm from Rebel News. Nice job." And then nothing. Who are they working for? Why don't they cover nationalist parties? They claim to be so-called, quote, rebel news. Why did they only cover globalist conservatives? These are questions you need to ask. And then if we look further, political duplicity, question mark. And this is where the political theater comes in. This guy Marshall, who is now Scheer's campaign manager, claims to sever ties with Levant and Rebel News, which he was a board member of. Levant fires Goldy. Goldy denounces Levant and Rebel News. Scheer claims he won't allow the Rebel News to interview him any longer, despite his warm relationship with Goldy, who also appeared in a photo op with Ontario Premier Doug Ford. So there's all this political intrigue. On the surface, these different operatives are attacking each other. Behind the scenes, are they working together? It appears to be the case. And what's really interesting, if we dig further, Goldy is completely silent on UN Agenda 21 and UN Agenda 2030, which globalist conservatives adopted and which the UN Migration Pact is aligned to. She calls liberals globalists, and they have globalist handlers, while ignore the globalist underpinnings of the Conservative Party, while ignore nationalist parties like NCA. This is a fact. None of these parties talk about UN Agenda 21 and UN Agenda 2030. Goldy doesn't mention it. Why doesn't she mention it? The UN Migration Pact is aligned to UN Agenda 2030, which Harper adopted, and UN Agenda 2030 is aligned to UN Agenda 21, which Mulroney adopted. Both conservatives. Is that why she doesn't want anyone to know? Blame all the liberals? Make it all about the liberals. How is that objective reporting? How is that honest? If we look further, I'm just going to sum it up here, but I'll be very honest about our opinion. We believe without a doubt that Goldy is a conservative operative. And she's actually harming true national movements in Canada by acting as a decoy, a fake populist, a fake nationalist, by sucking Canadians to her and then funneling them to these globalist conservatives. This is pretty disgusting in our opinion. She's a fraud. She's working for the globalist conservatives to prevent a true nationalist movement from succeeding, without question. But you review the facts for yourself. But we're not fooled at NCA. But this is the kind of manipulation that's been going on for decades and decades in our country. All the political theater, all the duplicity. Manipulating Canadians, and the end result is the same. Do your homework, look at our videos, support NCA, elect NCA, become a candidate, run in 2019, become a member, volunteer, sign up at nationalcitizensalliance.ca. The future of our country, our children, their children, is in the balance, without question. These globalist shills are working. Look at the web of networking that's going on. People are getting manipulated. We hope you found this interesting tonight. I will put this up. There's actually this article actually went into it further just before I close off. But they're trying to paint Scheer as somehow as a populist, and this white nationalist Faith Goldy is a joke. Linking it to the yellow vest. You see it here. This is another example. But don't get manipulated. And then here's Goldy. They're protesting globalism in the UN Migration Pact. Nothing about UN Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. Do your homework. Look it up. This is all political theater. This is all duplicity. They know populism is big in the U.S., big in Europe, and they're just trying to manipulate and pretend that they are populists, they are nationalists. But like I said at the beginning, they support globalist trade. They support mass immigration, 250,000 plus. They support affirmative action, favoring newcomers and refugees. They support, let's see here. They support multiculturalism, extreme multiculturalism. They support the Bank of Canada corruption. They support Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, provincial special treatment, top-down governments, all the same. So please get informed. Don't get manipulated. We're just sharing the facts with you. You make up your own mind. We want to wish you a great Easter weekend. Please be safe and please enjoy yourself. Thank you for tuning in.